I want to share with you campfire curriculums. And just like the thumbnail implies, this is actually going to be changing some of our summer plans and homeschool curriculum choices for the following year. Now, the way that this landed in our lap, like it is just, you know what? I'm gonna wait till the end of the video to share with you. But my name is Leilani. I am a former classroom teacher of 10 years. I have been homeschooling my children for 13 plus years. I have 4 wonderful children. I do homeschool evaluations, consultations. If you want to learn more about me and what I do, there is a website at the bottom in the description box below. There is also, just so you guys know in advance, there are links to campfire curriculums in the description box below, but I really want to now just dive into this. I want to share with you my experience as I've gone through one lesson already with my children, and I'm going to share with you some key points, some highlights, some reasons why it just really caught my eye and made me want to just, you know, go with this. So campfire curriculums is a curriculum that I have heard about. And every time I hear about campfire curriculums, there's always like so many, you know, praises and people love it. It's a unit study style curriculum. So in other words, you're bringing your entire family together. You're going to be sitting down kind of like in front of a campfire, but it's at the dining room table in my case, but it could be anywhere you want it to be. And you're going to be studying for, you know, 20 to 30 minutes, reading together, discussing together, doing activities together as a family, regardless of the age. And the one thing about campfire curriculums is it does include high school, because I do have a 10th grader next year, which is so crazy to me. But there's a 10th grader next year, and I want to make sure that he is getting high school credit. They actually share with you that if you do anywhere between 6 and 8 of these units a year, that it will count for 1 English, 1 science, 1 social sciences, half a credit of an elective, half a credit of ethics, and half a credit of Bible. Or you could do one of these units. It could count for either 1/4 or 1/2 of credit, depending upon how much time you put into it, or just, you know, it is state to state. It kind of varies state to state. I know in the state of Florida, like, you know, hours don't count for us, but either way, you can do high school with this. They do have 3 different books on that one single topic that you can follow. They have the Early Learners, which is going to be pre-K through 2nd. Then they have the Growing Learners, which is going to be 3rd grade through 8th. And then they have the Advanced Learners, which is going to be your 9th grade all the way up through adult. And, you know, I think it's cool that they include adult, because adults like to learn too. So the ones that I have here is actually with the Growing Guidebook, Growing Learners, and that's because I have 2 children that are in middle school. I have a 6th and an 8th grader, and I thought it would be great. It's almost like old school homeschooling for us, because when they were little bitties, we used to gather around the dining room table and do projects a lot with history and science together. This just brought me back. We have been sitting and doing a lesson this week, not in this one. The one, now this, I'm just gonna be straight up. The material in this one is pretty heavy, pretty deep. I'm not gonna do a flip through of this one. If you want me to do a flip through of the one that I'm about to show you, let me know in the description box below, but it is very heavy stuff. And usually, you know, we've talked about it before as a family. We've done units when we did, you know, our history lesson on it. I'm also very careful not to desensitize my kids to the specific topic. But when I saw it, I was like, you know, I'll just look at it, see if I like it. But when I opened it up and started reading about it, it just changed everything. It was like I stopped. And just this in itself is what made me want to change everything. Yes, eyes through an ER provider. Amazing. I really wanted to do it because another thing about campfire curriculums is that it was born out of the idea of a father connecting to their child. And that's, you know, kind of like the seed of this curriculum. And I thought, you know, hey, Dad, he's a paramedic, and you know, his daughter really wants to connect with him. This would be a great way for them to connect. But then when I saw this, like, I stopped. And it was not just seeing the title, but it was going through the material. It wasn't just a typical story. In fact, I'll show you right here, like, I had to print out 2 of these booklets because they're so much material. Now, I have noticed with the high school curriculum out there, and I understand it's what colleges want to see, some states require it, but it is very, very heavy on American history. You have government, economics, very focused on American stuff. Yes, you have your world history, but usually when you're covering world history, you're doing a lot about Europe and then back to America, and maybe you'll study the Egyptians here and there. But yes, this does have to do with World War II, the curriculum. It does have to do with World War II. However, there were some question prompts as I went through that provoked a parallel conversation about current events. And then what hit me like a ton of bricks is that it was coming from a Christian perspective. With everything that has been going on in this world, I so much appreciate that. But like I said, I'm not going to do a flip through of this one right here because of the material being so sensitive. If you want one, let me know in the comment section down below. So I am going to start showing you a little bit through this one, an ER provider. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I am going to point out a couple of highlights for you guys. They have a table of contents. They have lesson 1 through lesson 12. And there is a bonus one as well. Because it is so focused on the living books and the living stories. The stories are captivating. They're drawing you in. The characters are teaching about the subject matter. They don't have worksheets. I was going to say they don't have many worksheets. They don't have worksheets. Now, of course, when you're dealing with ER providers, you're also dealing with anatomy, physiology. You're learning about the job, the position. They talk about paramedics. Everything. Bone structure, skin. This is having to do with skin. They have muscles. They do have, and they have this in the newer ones as well too, but a section with faith talk and a think tank that happens at the end of each of the lessons. And then after those, they have optional activities. And they usually have 3. This one looks like it only has 2 right here. And this one has a Jeopard bingo, which it came with a bingo activity. This one, I'm just going to kind of sort of do a flip through of this one right here. So this is through the eyes of the zoologist. And of course, the first thing that I have noticed about this one is how beautiful the pictures are. Here is the table of contents for a zoologist. Now, they did break it up into lessons, which is really nice because it seems like it has expanded. This book is actually, the whole book is going to be thicker than the Through the Eyes of an ER Provider. So as you see, we have different types. It looks like different types of zoologists, whether it's someone that works with primates, someone that works with rehab, marine zoologist. It looks like cats. So the first lesson is a mammologist. So that's what the first lesson is on. And once again, the pictures are absolutely gorgeous. And even the color, like the themes and the colors, just everything goes together so well. These, by the way, are actually color-coded. And the more advanced book, the advanced learner's book, is going to have information in there that the other books don't have. So, and those are color-coded as well. So anyway, this has you just read this. So you just start with just reading, basically. Here's the second page, and once again, you have some notes that you can write in the book. So here's a cool teacher moment, and it looks like this is just a prompt or an activity that you can do. There's links that you can link up to, and you can watch videos. There is actually a book list that you can look at. And the newer versions, I noticed this, they have an audio book. So you don't have to have the kids reading through all of this out loud. You can actually play the audio book. Now, I like to have a book for each of my kids, and we are reading and taking turns around the table. Now, I do understand a lot of kids need that audio book to listen to and follow along. It's a tool that you can use, and that's amazing. There's some prompts right here throughout to kind of motivate the students to take notes in the notes section. Not all of them have those note sections. So I'll even show you, like this one right here, like there is not a note section. You have a separate notebook to do those things in. At least that's what we've been doing. But back to the zoologist one, it continues. Once again, you can see how incredibly beautiful that is. They have them actually, just the artwork and including writing on top of the artwork like a journal. This is actually like a journal. Some more information that you read through. And it goes for quite a while because, like I said, you know, this is living books. This is living stories. And here's some terms about elephants. And this is Mammologist. It talks about that being a branch of zoology. And then we get to the faith talk. Now, like I mentioned before, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes per day per lesson. And from lesson 1 that we did, from my experience, there was about 4 days that we did 20 to 30 minute lessons in, and it worked really, really well. 4 days is good. Just having 4 days of lessons, 4 days of 30 minutes, it's just so perfect. You could extend it, I'm sure, to 5 days, and I'm sure other lessons may take more time. You can be flexible with that. But when you get to the faith talk, so you have the faith side, you have scriptures that you can read together, and then you have the think tank, which has some questions and discussion questions in there, and this could take 30 minutes total if you really wanted to. After this page, then you get into the different options, different optional activities. And once again, this is up to you. It could last longer than a week if you decide to do all 3. Totally up to you, or you could just do one of them. It's flexible like that, okay? So this one has option 1, elephant ears. It talks about noises, talking about hearing. It actually looks like it connects up with the meteorologist unit. That's cool if you could do those back to back. Option 2 is observation bingo, another bingo activity. Bingo's great, by the way. I think bingo is one of those games. When I've taught at the co-op, like having kind of a Jeopardy style bingo or just a bingo game in general, it just really engages the kids. And they're teaching, games are great. Teaching and games just go hand in hand. So option 3, variety, is the spice of life. This one looks like that you're going to create a diorama or even drawing your ideas down. Pick one, you do all of them, you do 2, totally up to you, flexible like that. Then after this, you have something called the skip if you want to. This says zoology versus wildlife biology. They have more information. Here's some more information, skip if you want to. And then we get to something that looks like this, that is a stopping point. There is something called the Core Connections Companion Book. I don't have that actually printed out, but almost, and I'm saying almost because not all of them have it. And basically what's in there is those other subjects that is at math. You know, if you're doing something that's historical, they're going to have some science topics in there. If you're doing something that's sciencey, you may have some historical topics in there. And so it does a little bit of a cross curriculum. I love cross curriculum. That's why it's so reassuring that when you do a unit, you know that you're touching on all the different topics. And what's really cool, just from my experience and from the research and stuff I've read, a child learns best with that cross curriculum unit study type of style. So they will retain more of the information compared to pulling out a textbook and just reading and doing worksheets. Like, they will just retain better when you're adding it all in together in one unit study. So yeah, that's a fun fact. Now back to this unit study right here. One of the things with the Core Curriculum Companion is it was teaching a lot of the science. And there's also stuff in here about the human body, how nutrition, you know, what your body needs to live. Just, it's amazing the things that you can talk about within one topic. Now, I do want to do for you a full review after I'm done using all of these. I do want to share with you my experience. So please make sure you're subscribed. And let me know in the comments below if you have used any of these and what your favorite one is. I also have links in the description box below so you can check them out on your own. If I could go back in time and change the way that I homeschooled my young children, this would have been so much easier to do with them. I'm just so thankful that I can do it now with them and experience these kind of heavy topics with them while they're older. This is definitely one of those curriculums that I wish I would have done. Like I said, thank God I'm doing it now, right? Okay. Now, I did say that I would tell you how the story of how this kind of just landed in my lap. And this is where I get to be like super transparent, honest with you guys. They did reach out to me. They reached out to me at a really good time too. They reached out to me and they asked me if I would be willing to review their curriculum. I usually say no. And that's because I just get so many requests for so many different types of curriculum out there. I want to make sure that I'm 100% sure and behind the curriculum that I'm going to review. I don't want to represent a curriculum that I don't feel strongly about. And this is one that I was like, you know, I've heard so many good things about this. I'm going to do this. And so I said yes. And so all this curriculum that I do have, they did provide for me free, and I'm not going to lie about that. And I did agree to do a review, but one of the agreements was that I would be transparent and honest. So they also have one on the Titanic. I might do the Titanic and then share with you that information. Let me know if you want me to do that, because, you know, I'm expecting the Titanic to be really, really deep too. But I will be honest, I do like to go on cruises, and I'm really kind of nervous that it might freak my kids out. All kidding aside, this is a great curriculum, and please do check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you around. Thanks. Bye.